Why do we talk to ourselves, even when nobody is listening? You lose your keys and mutter, "Where did I put them?" You rehearse a difficult conversation before opening the door. You miss one step, and here, come on, focus. Sometimes the word stays silent, somewhere inside your head. Sometimes they escape through your mouth in the supermarket. It can feel like your brain has hired a narrator. But that narrator is not merely commenting on your life. It can organize attention, memory, emotion, and action. It can also criticize, exaggerate, and replay embarrassing moments. So self-talk is neither automatically helpful nor automatically unhealthy. It is a flexible mental tool whose effect depends on use. The strange part is that language began between people. Yet somehow, conversation also became a private technology. To understand why, we need to separate several experiences. We also need to look back at noisy young children. Then we can see what adults are still doing silently, and why difficult moments sometimes make the voice audible again. Here is the idea we will test throughout this video. Talking to yourself, maybe thinking with a borrowed social tool. First, what exactly counts as talking to yourself? Audible private speech is spoken but not meant for others. That includes muttering, whispering, and giving yourself direct instructions. Inner speech is language experienced without audible articulation. Your lips may stay still while a sentence feels present. Then there is deliberate self-talk used for a specific goal. An athlete might cue, shoulders down, eyes forward. A student might remind herself to check the final sign. And a speaker might silently practice the opening sentence. These categories overlap, but they are not perfectly identical, nor is every thought made from words. Some thoughts arrive as pictures, sensations, or wordless understanding. People differ enormously in how often inner speech appears. Even one person may use it more in certain situations. That makes exact frequency surprisingly difficult to measure. Questionnaires ask what people generally remember about their minds. Experience sampling interrupts life and asks, "What was happening now?" Those methods often produce different estimates. So beware claims that everyone narrates every waking minute. The honest picture is common experience with major individual variation. A leading developmental account begins with ordinary conversation. Adults guide children using language shared between two people. Put the red block here, then turn the blue one. Soon, children repeat similar instructions to themselves. While drawing, they may announce every next move. While solving puzzles, they may coach themselves through mistakes. Psychologists call this outward, self-directed language private speech. It is especially noticeable when a task becomes challenging. The child is not performing a show for invisible viewers. The speech is helping control attention and behavior. With development, much of that guidance becomes quieter and abbreviated. Full spoken instructions can compress into fragments or mental shorthand. Turn it no other way may become a rapid inner nudge. This process is often described as internalizing social speech. The brain repurposes a communication system for self-regulation. But internalization does not mean audible self-talk disappears. Adults often talk aloud during unfamiliar or demanding tasks. External words can slow a problem into manageable pieces. They make the next action easier to notice and follow. In that sense, adult muttering is childhood engineering still working. One major function of inner speech is holding information briefly. Repeat a phone number, and you refresh its fading sound pattern. This verbal rehearsal supports a part of working memory. Stop repeating, and the information may quickly dissolve. Self-talk also converts vague intentions into ordered steps. First find the document, then attach it, then send. Each phrase narrows attention to the next relevant action. That is useful when many possibilities compete at once. Language can also help us switch between rules. Now sort by color. Next, sort by shape. A verbal cue keeps the current rule available. Self-talk can monitor errors before they become actions. You hear the plan internally and notice something sounds wrong. It can support reasoning by making assumptions more explicit. A fuzzy problem becomes a sentence you can inspect. But words can also oversimplify complex or visual problems. Sometimes imagery, movement, or quiet intuition works better. The best tool depends on the task and the thinker. Self-talk is one instrument, not the entire orchestra. Useful thinking can be verbal, visual, emotional, or mixed. Self-talk does more than remember instructions. it manages motivation. A short cue can reconnect effort with an immediate goal. Just reach the next corner is easier than finish everything. Specific instructions often beat grand but unbelievable slogans. Relax your grip gives the body something concrete to change. I am the greatest may clash with obvious doubt. Self-talk also lets us rehearse social situations privately. You predict a question, test an answer, and revise it. That simulation can reduce uncertainty before a real encounter. It can help you consider how another person might respond. Inner dialogue may contain more than one perspective. One voice argues for caution, another argues for curiosity. This does not require separate personalities living in the brain. It is ordinary cognition comparing possible positions. Writers use it to hear whether dialogue feels natural. Musicians may silently label structure or anticipate an entrance. Anyone can replay yesterday and simulate tomorrow. That mental time travel helps us learn and prepare. But simulations are models, not recordings or prophecies. Your imagined conversation may never occur that way. Self-talk also changes how close an emotion feels. When upset, first-person thoughts can become tightly immersive. Why did I do that? What is wrong with me? The mind circles the event from the same painful seat. A small language shift can sometimes create psychological distance. Instead of I, people can use you or their own name. What does Maya need right now? Sound like advising a friend. Experiments suggest this can reduce emotional reactivity in some contexts. The shift encourages an observer perspective without leaving the situation. Real-world results are promising, but not universally magical. Distant self-talk seems especially useful while preparing to act. It does not erase grief, fear, anger, or practical problems. Tone matters as much as grammatical person. You idiot is distance language, but hardly compassionate guidance. Try the smaller step is specific, believable, and actionable. Good self-talk resembles a skilled coach, not a bully. It acknowledges difficulty while directing the next move. You can also ask questions instead of issuing commands. What am I missing can open attention to new evidence. The goal is flexible guidance, not total control of thought. The same verbal machinery can become unhelpful. A mistake may trigger one useful correction, or it may trigger an endless trial inside your head. Repetition feels productive because the mind stays busy, but rumination can revisit pain without producing a new action. Negative self-talk can also turn predictions into declarations. This will be hard because I always fail. The second statement is broader, harsher, and less testable. Content matters, but fighting every negative thought can backfire. Try not to think something keeps checking whether it returned. A better move may be to label the mental event. I'm having the thought that I will fail. That wording separates a prediction from an established fact. Then ask whether the voice offers information or only punishment. Useful feedback identifies a behavior that can change. Cruel commentary attacks the whole person. You do not need to replace every doubt with forced positivity. Aim for accuracy, proportion, and basic human kindness. This is uncomfortable, and I can take one step. That sentence neither lies nor abandons you. Talking to yourself aloud is usually not a diagnosis. Context matters. Solitude and difficult tasks invite more private speech. People also vary in volume, frequency, and awareness. Ordinary inner speech usually feels connected to your own thinking. Auditory hallucinations are more complex and can feel not self-generated. Some feel external, while others seem located inside the head. No single feature or internet checklist can diagnose the cause. Stress, sleep loss, substances, illness, and many conditions may matter. The important questions include control, distress, safety, and functioning. Seek professional help if voices threaten, command harm, or disrupt life. Urgent danger deserves immediate local emergency support. That guidance should not make ordinary self-talk frightening. For everyday use, begin by noticing when your narrator appears. Listen for task, emotion, perspective, and tone. If it helps, make the instruction short and concrete. If it attacks, rewrite it as advice for someone you respect. If it loops, pause and choose an external action. And remember that quiet, visual thinking is equally human. We talk to ourselves because language became an internal tool. The best inner voice does not narrate everything. It helps when needed.